Hello and welcome, guys, to the next episode here in our driver career mode with Williams, episode 7, here in Monaco, with practice having rain and then qualifying having rain. So our setup is set up correctly with dry, and I believe it is a race number 7. Yes, Imola and then Monaco. Last week with Imola, another P13 finish compared to Miami. And it was a pretty dull race, other than the red flag caused by the McLaren of Lando Norris. But we're not really coming into this weekend very confident with Monaco, because throughout the last few years, Monaco has been very difficult, if not one of the most difficult tracks of the game. So we're going to be going in there, not really with any certain expectations, other than trying to do as best as we can. So let's get right onto the track after practice for some qualifying. Alright, so not a very good qualifying for us here in the rain, as P19 will be our start here with a 1:26.89. I'm going to be starting just behind our teammate Logan Sargent here in the rain, qualifying, but it will be a dry race with overcast. So not really sure what to expect here on the race. We're hoping to at least get towards the top 10. And try my best to do so without trying to get caught up in any incidents like we did in the last few games. So let's get right to the main event.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of 19 corners, and don't expect to see much overtaking here today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Gasly, Ocon, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Joe, Sargent, Johnson, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Let's talk about Johnson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Alright, so coming off of a pretty rough qualifying, and I do want to apologize as I didn't realize that the audio for my microphone was turned down. I had forgotten to turn it back up after commentating for the Invictus Racing League for week 2. At the time of this video was recorded, they just did a race 2 in Saudi Arabia. But without further ado, let's go ahead and look at our strategy. We're going to try to see if we can get some overtakes on these soft tires, but I'm kind of not really feeling it. I do feel like we are going to get some safety cars, so we are... we're going to have to go with it. We're going to have to go for the soft and the medium strategy and see what we can do here. So let's get right back out onto the track. Alright, so here we are in our grid slot in Monaco. Unfortunately, in the last row of the race, as our 5 red lights are off, going off to a decent start here, as youre and you in front of us are going a bit slow, but we take our foot off the gas here, take it easy through this first corner. Luckily, we didn't get a warning for cutting that corner there, but we are in the very back. And taking it easy as we settled into this first lap in Monaco. As you see a couple of position changes here. Hamilton moving up to P11. A little bit of wheel spin coming off of that, and we almost slam into the back of De Vries there. A little bit of contact there to the wall, trying to make a move. But we're basically not going anywhere at this point, as we're side by side with Joe. And Joe moves as best as we can. We get pushed back against the wall, almost hitting it. And side by side with De Vries out of that hairpin as we're coming back down through the tunnel. A little bit more wheel spin you can see there. And no position changes here. As this is my favorite part of the track, is the hairpin leading into sector 3 here, into the pool section. Doesn't matter how fast I'm coming through this pool section. If I make that wrong move, I get oversteer like that and just have to deal with it. And then that last corner there as well. As these curves, as we round out to the end of lap 1, and pretty rough start. So yeah. Moving on to lap 5, we're finally actually able to make a move here as we caught up to Grand Show here at the hairpin, and we had enough momentum to make a move on the inside, almost coming in contact with our teammate Logan Sargent, as he comes back at us and hits our back end. And luckily we were able to control it as we get in front of him coming into the tunnel here on lap 5. So not much going on here in Monaco, like they said at the intro. Not very many opportunities to make a move, as our back left tire makes contact with the wall. And luckily we didn't lose that much tire wear to it. Maybe added like 6 or 7% of tire damage to our back left soft compound tire. But that definitely didn't help with oversteer, as we're coming around that last corner or so, and just trying to keep the car planted and not having any oversteer moments. As moving on to lap 11, still sitting up in P18 here, and it's about time we come in to get off of these softs, because these guys are burning up, especially here in Monaco, as it's just, the track is just eating up these tires. So early pit stop for us. We didn't have anybody else come in front of us into the pits, so we're going to be doing the undercut as best as we can here, as we're losing a lot of time here in Monaco, as Joe and De Vries are now once again ahead of us. And you can see the gap is 4.7 on my end, but that has not been updated until we get back onto the track here. Swapping over to the mediums and seeing how these will perform on the track here for the rest of the race. See if we can make some valuable positions before our teammate comes in for a pit stop, and so on and so forth. So moving on to lap 13 here, we have De Vries making a pit stop. So not very many, the end of lap 13, not 14. He comes in for his pit stop, so we make that position up. And we finally catch up to our teammate later on lap 15 here, just before the pool section. We're side by side. You can see De Vries back there as we make the move on the, I believe we were on the faster compound tires. I don't know what Sargent was on at the time, but you can see the wheel spin isn't just because of the tire wear. We're putting way too much power we have a lot more power than we thought, even though we don't have that many upgrades on this car from the team. So yeah, lap 16, and we're back up in the P18. So that's a one position gain from the start of the race. And we're over halfway done with the race already. And as we wrap up the end of lap 16, we have a couple other people coming into the pits. So we did have a gap ahead of Sargent. I believe that's when he was coming in, was lap 17. The start of lap 17 and a lap 16. So we make that position against youre up into P17, and now we have that gap behind Lance Stroll. So we're going to try to make a move on Lance Stroll before the end of this race. So we got 11 laps to go. But with lap 26 of 27, we catch up to Lance Stroll. And Yuki Tsunoda ahead of him as we're coming over to the hairpin. We make that risky move there on the inside just before the hairpin. We get in front of Lance Stroll. So we are making valuable positions, but that's not going to be enough. It's going to be lap 26 when we make that position, and we can't make that position up against Tsunoda. So we're going to be finishing our race in Monaco in P16.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for many years to come. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.
All right, so pretty rough race here in Monaco as we made a few positions. Let's go see here. We started in P19 ahead of Nick DeVries. Nick DeVries made it one position into P19. We made it up to P16, making that pass against Lance Stroll finally towards the last stint of the race. And overall, this race felt really... I was scared. I was trying to take it easy, but not trying to lose enough time. As soon as everybody started spreading out, I knew that I need to work on my timing and put a little bit more power down coming out of those corners. And you guys could tell on some of those corners, especially the hairpin, the Monaco, or I forget the name of it, but the famous Monaco hairpin, getting too much power out of that hairpin. You can see that I'm spinning out. And that's the same situation with the last right-hander hairpin coming back to the start and finish straight. So yeah, didn't do so great. Our rival Pierre Gasly finishing in P11 off of P8, so he doesn't get any points, but he does finish better than we do. And not really any improvement from Logan Sargent. He's still right there in P18. Haven't really seen any improvement from him lately. And if we go back over to the standings, I believe there are still people. Let's see, Esteban Ocon scoring points. I believe it was this race that he did. May have been, yeah, P10. He got 1 point for Alpine. as that makes it 3 people now without scoring any points. Joe Granu, Logan Sargent, and Nick DeVries. As myself and Oscar Piastri have a handful of points here, doing better than our other rookies. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it was stressful for me. I didn't really want to do this race, but we had to do it for the series because we're going through the whole season. But yeah, Red Bull finished with Max Verstappen, George Russell P2, and Charles Leclerc P3 here in Monaco. We'll see you guys in the next episode.